Hello, Chicago, Chicago, and you're very welcome here to Jimmy's Barbershop in Ireland. It's great to see you again, and it's great to be part of your experience again. This is very unusual for us this year. We're doing it online and a webinar and stuff like that. So thank you for inviting me into your room or your salon or wherever you're watching today. So what I want to show you today is what we discussed yesterday, but what I want to show you today is the simplicity of barbering, how you can introduce doing men's haircuts in your hair salon, whether you're going into the barber business or whether you're a professional hairstylist that wants to cut men's hair. I want to show you the simplistic way of how you can introduce yourself to cutting men's hair without making things too complicated. I hope you understand me. We're wearing masks here at the moment. This is one of my lifelong customers here that's been coming into me for years. This is Mervyn, and I hope you understand what I'm saying through these masks. We're obviously currently locked down, so it's law when we're beside each other that we must wear masks. And excuse my sinuses, so I find it very difficult to wear these all the time, so excuse my sinuses and stuff like that if you don't understand things at times. But the importance of these classes and this show and stuff like that is that you can never get too much education. So what I want to teach you today is, I hope that you can introduce to your customers. I can hope that you can grow your own business in doing men's hair cutting, and not only men's hair cutting, but also doing women's short hairstyles as well. And we're going to show you today on some clippers and scissors cuts and some clippers over comb, and we're going to do it a very simplistic way where you can achieve doing maybe a fade that goes down to a 0.5 or a raw fade down to the bottom of the neck, but doing it simply without creating lines and working from the top to the bottom. And also don't forget that every product that we show you that you've seen by any of the educators over this weekend online, every product, the shampoos, the gels, the creams, the vitamin oils, the men's hair sprays, the men's waxes, pomades, they're all available here. They're all available online over the weekend, so feel free to log on to johnamico.com or one of your educators, and if you need to know anything after watching this presentation, if you need to know anything about any of the products, please don't hesitate to contact me or message me with any of your questions. Afterwards, we'll be doing a questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask anything you wish, and I'll try to explain in the greatest detail possible. So at the moment, we have a storm blowing here in Ireland. So I think you sent it to us from America. So thanks very much for that. We'll send it back to you as soon as possible as we can in Florida or wherever you sent it from. I want to say a big hello to John and Miko Senior, Johnny Junior, a lot of people that I usually deal with there over the weekend, Maricela and Sandy and Christina and Julia, and it's a pleasure to be here today in front of you. So thank you for tuning in to me, and let me show you some of what I do. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take Mervyn's hair, and we're going to cut Mervyn's hair down to literally a number 1 fade or a 0.5 fade. We're going to taper it in here at the bottom. So what I generally like to do is I like to start up high and blend it down. Rather than starting at the bottom and creating lines, I like to start at the top and blend it down a bit, because you're not creating lines and you can do it much quicker as well. But I'm not going to show you too quickly because I want you to learn. Now, just to show you a couple of the tools that I use. I like to use, personally I use cordless. This particular one is a wall product and stuff like that. So I use cordless, which are lithium batteries. So these generally work away for about an hour, 2 hours without having to be plugged in. But they sit back down on a rechargeable stand every time that I'm finished using them. I always have 2 or 3 of these on the go because I always like to work with a cool machine that's actually pretty cold. If you work with the same machine all day, it can trap, it can get overheated and everything else. So always make sure that your blade is oiled, make sure it's sprayed, make sure it's oiled, make sure it's clean before you put the client, because anything that gets trapped in the teeth can interfere with the haircut, and it can also pull the hair of the client. So always make sure that you have this sprayed, spray it down with your oil, put your little bit of oil in it, wipe it with a handkerchief or brush it, and make sure that it's always clean before you start. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do maybe clippers over comb. We're going to put on maybe a 3 guard or a 2 guard or whatever, and we're going to start the cut before we start blending down. So we're just going to focus up here a little bit. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually starting with a 3 blade, a number 3 blade. And you'll see, we're going to, first of all, I'm just going to spray the hair, just slightly, not too wet. So what spraying the hair first does, especially when you're using the clippers, is it stops creating that dust, that hair dust, and it makes the hair that you cut a little bit heavier so it falls straight down. So we're going to start here on the side, and you'll see how I just gradually, I'm using a number 3 blade, and I'm just gradually working up on the blade and just flicking back. So I'm kind of flicking these type of motions. As you see, I just continue to flip back. So I'm not creating any lines there at the moment. I'm just losing a lot of the heavy hair that's there at the moment. So as you see, I'm kind of keeping below the temple here. And just continuing all the way around. Just combing down, making sure that all the hairs are down before I go up on the thing, making sure that all the hairs are down, going into one position before I cut them all in this position. We're just going to turn back here again. And you'll see that I have everything taken off that I can do with the number 3 blade at the moment. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to a number 2. So this is your number 2 guard. So slip on your number 2 guard. And I'm keeping slightly below where I started with the 3. I went up a bit further with the 3, with the number 3. I went up a bit further. So what I'm trying to do is I'm keeping slightly below that. As long as I keep below it, I won't be creating any lines. So I'm just keeping slightly below that point. I'm just keeping maybe probably about an inch below it, inch, 3/4 of an inch, whatever below that point. And as you see, yet I haven't created any lines. So I just continue around, going, just keeping slightly below where I went with the number 3. You see? Now, that's the number 2 we've done round. So now we're going to go down to a number 1. So again, I just put on the number 1 guard on this. And as you see, there's no lines created there yet. So again, I'm just going to go with the number 1 blade. With the number 1 blade, I'm going to go around in the same way. And again, keeping about maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch below my previous line that I've done with the number 2. So as you see, we're not creating any distinctive lines, and we're keeping everything faded down as we go. And just continue around the same way as you've done with the other 2 guards. Continue around. And always make sure, go nice and gently. You don't want to hurt the client, but go through nice and gently. And it's quite simply done like that, quite simply. Just go nice and gently. Take your time. Take your time. Making sure always work up. Don't ever pull back. Don't ever pull back on the skin with the guard on, because the guard is likely to come off. And if you go back up again, you're going to leave a big ball mark. So what we do is we always kind of work up and work away. Always work up. Don't ever pull back on the hair, because the guard is likely to come off, and you will take a patch out of your client. So all the time, up and back, up and back. So now, at the bottom here, you see we've done it down to a number 1. So we're going to taper this down to a 0.5. Now your 0.5 is done without the guard. You will see that you have an adjuster here on most of your clippers. Some of the adjusters are at the side, some are at the back. So use this adjuster and you want to go to a 0.5. So that's the full open blade is what we're going to do there. We're going to do the full open blade. So this is just going to do it very lightly right at the bottom. You're very likely just going to trim there just to taper in. Just to taper in this at the bottom. One moment. So we're just going to taper in this cut at the bottom. And as you see, you're going to fade it right down. And if you keep below where you finish with number 1, just by about ½ an inch, and you just slightly fade. You're just gently, you're not going right in flat, you're just keeping your blade at a tilt. And you're going to very gently go in and get rid of any of these lines that's there, and you're just going to taper it down. And this is what we call a taper finish. You've got a few different finishes at the back. You've got the straight edge back, which is coming down at the sides and straight across. You've got the round finish, and you've got the taper finish that literally blends into nothing. It's just tapered. So the taper finish is always quite popular. And you can work around the ears like this also. Just work around the ears. And again, you're doing the same thing as you've done when you had the guard on. You're going to flick back each time. So I'm making the chair do the work here. So as you see, I haven't been moving, so the chair is working for me all the time. So you can save your feet by not having to run around the client all the time. Let your chair do the work. And as you see, I'm just the 0.5 there at the moment. Now I'm going to reduce it maybe to a 0.2. So that's going down halfway on your blade. So you're going to reduce it again. So just right down at the very tip, you're going to literally not do a bald fade, but very close right here at the bottom. So just right down at the tip, right down at the hairline, you're just going to run around and do that. So there you go, that's faded down there, that's faded down to a 0.5. So you can do this, you can be starting at a 1 down to a 0, you can go down to, this is done down to a 0.5. So this is probably one of your standard cuts that you would have every day, whether you go from a 4-3-2 or for 3-2-1 or a 2-1-0. These are how you fade them down all the time. The concept, the whole concept is the same. Just keep below what you've done on your previous blade. So if you've done a 1, you go to 1.5 and a 1 or 0.5. So just keep below each time to fade it right down. And as you see, I haven't created any lines by working down. If I worked in the opposite direction, I would be all the time trying to delete lines. So I always find it more convenient to work like this. So now we're just going to spray with a little bit of water. And I'm going to show you here at the sides. What we're going to do here at the sides, we're going to do a little bit of clipper over comb action. So a bit of clipper over comb action. So you're going to take up your hair slightly, here like that, where you see the bulk of the hair here. You're going to take up the hair slightly and clipper over comb. And always remember, take it off gradually. Don't take too much off at one time because you can't put this back on. Take it off gradually till you see where it sits in perfectly. So if it seems a bit heavy, take another bit off. Take off little amounts at the time. And take the hair off gradually, and you'll do this all the way around. You'll do this all the way around. You'll see where it's a little bit heavier here. Take it off all the way around. Just nice and gradually. As you see there, just maybe about 1/4 of an inch of hair there at a time. About 1/4 of an inch at a time. Now as you see, that is sitting quite beautiful there now. As you see all the way around, everything is sitting quite beautiful there at the sides. You might see 1 or 2 bits. Just go around, just inspect your hairline, inspect your hair all the way around, making sure that you're happy with that there's no weight anywhere else. If you see an extra little bit of weight, just lift it up with your brush, go with the shortest end, you will see. Pick it up with your comb, and that's your clipper over comb action. What we're going to do around here now at the moment, we're going to finish some lines around here. So we're going to use what we call the baby clippers. So your small clippers. These are small clippers. It's also a cordless clipper, so it's very convenient. So what we're going to do is, when you want to do around the ears, when you want to do around the ears, use this action. Don't go too high. You don't want to skin the hair line. So always pull down the ears, and just any long hairs there at the bottom, just run round them. And the opposite way here. And you're just going to clean up the neckline a bit. And because we went down to a 0.5, you don't have to be creating lines. You just want to clean up that little neckline there. Just very low, you want to clean up that neckline. You're going to go around the opposite ear, pull down the ear a bit. Go around here. And also here. The hairline. And clean up those edges around. Because remember, a good haircut is always a nicely finished haircut. Nicely finished hair. Everything is always in the finishing of a haircut. So always make sure that you've got your lines nice and that everything is tapered in nicely. And make sure that you've got no loose hairs coming out here. Just take off all those loose hairs. You might see here at the top, you can do a clipper over comb action there. If it's a bit too bushy there, you want to taper it in like that. And the same here, if it's a bit too bushy here at the front, just take it out, you'll see some hair, run it up. And there we go, your back and sides, which is very nicely done. It's nicely tapered down there to a 0.5. And as you see, no lines, and you see how quickly that can be done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to concentrate on the top. So it's a few weeks since Mervyn had his haircut, so Mervyn's going to be taking off maybe about 3/4 of an inch of his hair. So again, we're going to lightly spray. Lightly spray. Always spray the hair. Always spray the hair, obviously, when you're cutting, because you want to keep those hairs together and make sure that you cut everything in line, that everything is gripped in your hand, and you can cut everything in line perfectly. So now, I'm just going to take up. We're going to take about 3/4 of an inch off Mervyn's hair. Taking it carefully, coming back, working from the front to the back, which is how I work. You'll find that some stylists might work from the back to the front. I always work from the front to the back. And always remember that there's no such thing as the perfect haircut. If there was, we'd always only ever do one haircut. But everybody's got a different style, and also every stylist has a different way of working. So because one stylist might do something one way, and I might do things another way, and somebody else might do it another way, doesn't mean to say the two of us are wrong and one of us is right. Those are just our techniques. Those are the way that we find that's good for us to work, and it's about different ways that we would have learned. So you might take something from me that will work for you, and you might take something from another stylist that will work for you also, and you will use all of these to developing your own technique. So what you do is you find what's best for you, how you can achieve the best results in cutting short hairstyles. So you always do what works for you. So what I do, I work from the back to the front. And I always take a little bit less when I get to the back, because the hair growth is always a bit more heavier from the front than it is to the back. So when you're going to the side profile here, when you're going to the side, you will go with a 45 angle like this, and you'll always go to the shortest point of the hair that you cut at the top. So again, we're going to the shortest point, the 45 angle, and you'll see the longer hairs there. Again, work to the shortest point, and work to the shortest point. So, now you're going over to the left. So, now that we've done the 45 this way, now we're going the opposite way. So we're going to cut from the shortest point here and back. Again, the shortest point here from the top and cut back. And again, the shortest point there and cut back. And we're going to continue this for the last move here. And always take it gradual, always take a look in the mirror, and always see that everything is in proportion. You'll always see when you look forward ahead of you in the mirror, and we can use the mirror, but we'll see that everything is in proportion. Now look in the mirror. And if you need to take a little bit more, just go through the same process again. I say always take it gradually. Now, when we come to the fringe, Marva's fringe quite long there, so we're going to cut it quite short along. So if you just go here. There you go. Now, I'm just going to cut over from this line here, anything that's along there. Just take it off. Now, we've also got a tapering scissors. Sometimes you might want to lighten the hair a bit. This hair now is short enough. We're short enough, this hair, so. But we've got these beautiful tapering scissors, and these are also available by John Amico. John Amico does these, and the difference between these and other tapering scissors is that the teeth are actually at the top. They're at the top, so you're working from top down, and there's wider teeth in them. So it's great for texturizing and blending in, and it's just one of those tools I absolutely love. And this is available also with John Amico. So if you just lift up the hair and just slightly texturize and taper it at the top, and just run through, and that slightly lightens the hair, but it texturizes it and blends it in also, you know. There you go. We're just taking a slight amount off, just running over the hair. And especially around the fringe, which I find these great with the white teeth. I find it great when you actually lift up the fringe, because the fringe we cut earlier, but we don't like the fringe in a straight line. So if you just lift up the fringe and just give a couple little chops, that will texturize it so it'll sit quite pretty and quite nice. So there we go, we're coming close to the end of this haircut. I'm just making sure, as you see, there's no lines, everything is blended in quite tastefully. Now, maybe not a lot of you have used blades before, but this does take a bit of practice using a blade like this. I always like to finish off a haircut with a blade. But if you don't know how to use one of these blades, what I suggest is you blow up a balloon, you put a bit of shave oil on a balloon and some shave foam, and you practice quite gently, letting the blade do the work, quite gently. Just put the blade flat to the balloon, put the blade flat and slowly shave the balloon. When you can master shaving a balloon with one of these, you can master putting this on skin. So it is quite simple, just takes a little bit of practice. So what I tend to do is, anywhere in the neckline, it's very important in a barber shop, doing men's hair, that you clean up because necks are hairy, sides around these lines are all very hairy or with growth. So it's always very important that you clean up a neckline on a men's haircut. It's of high importance. If I went to a barber shop, my neckline wasn't cleaned up, I'd be very slow to return to that barber shop. So by putting detail into your finishing, you'll always win every time. People will appreciate you more that you've put some detail into your finishing. So I just work around and I keep the blade flat to the skin. Just flat to the skin. As you see here, on both sides. I'm just going to remove that there now for a second. Both sides. And just keep it flat, quite simply and quite gently. So, we're just going to open up this cape because the neckline goes below the cape. So, as you see again, and I like to keep the cape on with paper on around the cape because, especially if a person is working during the day, you don't want hair going down that person's back. Not everybody that comes into you is going home, so always make sure that you keep the client clean because they may be going off to work for the day or they may have many other things to do before they do get home and do have a shower. So, now that's Mervyn's neckline cleaned up. And as you see, that is a straightforward, very standard cut. It's a very standard cut, but it's probably 90% of the work that you would do in a barbershop every day is based on these styles of haircuts. So when you get to learn the basics of what you need to do to cut hair, then you can start exploring and start to go into the more complicated things. But you need to get these basics started first. And this will be 90% of the work that you do in your barbershop will be based on clients doing similar styles to this. And you can advance yourself more with more knowledge. So when you learn to know how to do the basics and the standard cuts, you can advance yourself from there. But I hope this video and this haircut has been a good help in getting you to where you want to go and starting to do men's haircuts. Whether you're a student starting out, or whether you're an experienced hairstylist, or whether you're a barber in the trade for years. We can always learn all the time off each other. And this is where it's very important with education, and especially through the John Amico School of Education, that we focus in learning off each other, because there might be a technique that I've used today that another barber can take from me. And he can say, oh, I can add that technique to my work, and that makes my work much simpler. And there's also something that I can learn from a very experienced barber that will advance to me. So we can always learn things off each other and by seeing and watching and looking about what each other is doing. So we're just going to clean up Mervyn here now at the moment. I'm just going to blow dry this hair up. No, and it's always very nice that when a customer's in your shop that they leave smelling nice. They leave smelling nice. And this is the importance always of having good quality products. And good quality products that smell nice and that feel good and that make your hair feel good. And what I find about, I stock a wide range of John Amico products, and what I find about the John Amico products is they're long lasting products. You know, we use the likes of tea tree oil and tea tree shampoo, mint shampoo, which is great for flaking scalp. If you've got any problems with your scalp or dandruff or whatever, it's a fantastic shampoo. We've got different conditioners and a lot of the balms for skin. Now I've shaved his neck, so I'm going to use one of the aftershave balms, which is this is a moisturizing shave balm. So always take a bit of this product when you finish. And these products are available from johnamico.com. So if you just rub this product around on the neck and all those where you shaved, and it also smells very, very good. It's also a menthol. It's menthol eucalyptus. It's absolutely beautiful smelling and fresh, and it leaves the client smelling fresh for the day. Also on the hair, we have some beautiful products on the hair. We love this. This is John Amico, which is JA Styling Gel, and it's an absolutely fantastic product, and it's got a great hold. So anyone that's going out for the night or going out for the day and they want to keep their hair in the same style for the day, I highly recommend one of these gels. We've got there's many ranges of gels from John Amico at the moment, so feel free to look at the site and take a look at these. But they're absolutely fantastic product. You don't need a big amount of this product. You'll need a small amount. Again, rub in your hands and style to the way your client likes his hair. And again, these products smell absolutely amazing. They're a fantastic product. And don't forget, also in the women's range, there's a wide range of products in the women's range, from shampoos to oils to conditioners to different treatments. To all these products are available. Look them up on johnamico.com. They're absolutely fantastic products. I wouldn't be without them here in my shop here in Ireland. So I'd like to take a moment just to thank you very much for tuning into this haircut today. Stick around for some questions and answers. If you've seen anything today that you've got any questions about, please don't hesitate to ask me, because you might learn from me, but I've got a lot to learn from you too. So thanks very much for tuning in today. I hope that wherever you're sitting, inside in your salon, sitting on your couch, or sitting on the armchairs, or sitting on your barber chair, or your hairstyling chair, I hope you've enjoyed taking the time to watch this video today, and I hope that you've learned something, and I look forward so much to seeing you very, very soon. So stay on for a while and come over to the questions and answers, and anything you'd like to ask, please don't hesitate. Talk to you soon. Bye.